Rich Karen demands a discount because her kid might have a terminal illness. So I'm in my early 20s and I work part-time retail at a beauty supply store to supplement my disability income. I just went through a 9-month-long battle with a very aggressive form of leukemia, which for anyone who isn't familiar with it is a blood disease, and in 2013 this included daily infusions of arsenic and chemotherapy, and even though there isn't a cure, it can be controlled with oral chemos now that I'm past the first year. But I will be weakened and immune-compromised for many years, if not the rest of my life. And I'll probably have to be on these medicines for the rest of my life as well. Earlier today, I had a lady come in, and just by the look of her and how she acted, you could tell she was going to be self-entitled and somewhat rude at best. She was overly tan with bleach blonde hair, super long bright pink acrylics, Chanel bag, and drove a Mercedes. She goes directly for our selection of hair extensions and browses for a few minutes. She was talking loudly on her cell phone the whole time and didn't even acknowledge my greeting as she entered the store. She then starts snapping her fingers at me to get my attention. Snapping her fingers like I'm a dog. I guess she couldn't be bothered to tear herself away from her riveting conversation about why her friend's co-worker's boyfriend was having lunch with another woman to speak to me like, an actual human. I walk over to her and politely ask what she needs help with. She wants me to unlock all of our hair products so she can browse as she likes. We keep it locked because a lot of it is over $100 and it's a high theft item. I told her I wasn't allowed to do that, but if there was any color she wanted to look at, I'd be happy to unlock it for her. And also, we have a ring full of full-length swatches that she's welcome to look at as well. Of course, she starts huffing and giving me dirty looks, like how dare I tell her no, as per our company policy, don't I know who her husband is? But eventually she settles on one of our priciest sets of 100% human hair clip-ins. Before I ring her up, I let her know that all of our hair is absolutely not returnable or exchangeable for any reason once she walks out the door. She says, fine. And I ring her up and tell her the final price plus tax, which is close to $200. And she goes ballistic. But my daughter may have a terminal illness. The virus with the big C, just so you know, we can't say the name of it on YouTube. So I should get a discount. So you're buying extensions for your daughter because she might have the big C? No, they're for me, but it's very stressful having a sick child, and the terminal illness will be very expensive to treat if she has it. Like what? So I say, Mom, I'm very aware of how expensive that illness is, but we don't offer an illness discount. If you've ever had a loved one with that disease, you'd understand. I'm a really easygoing person, and usually I let things like this not affect me in the slightest. Heck, I love making jokes about my illness, but I hate it when people use other people's illnesses to gain sympathy and benefit. My mother had a really tough time dealing with my illness, so I have some idea how truly heartbreaking it can be to have a sick child. So I say, I have that illness, Mom, so I know what it's like and how devastating this kind of illness can be on the body and mind. All 4 of my grandparents died of it, and my stepmother is battling the chest variant of it for the 3rd time, and it's metastatized to her lungs, lymph nodes, and brain, and they're giving her less than 2 years. So yes, I know how it feels. If I were to give a discount, it would be to the people fighting it, not the people trying to gain my sympathies. Silence and a stunned look from her. I say, your total is $200, would you like a bag? And then she was very sweet for the 2 minutes it took her to pay and leave. In short, my kid might have a disease, so discounts on items to make myself look good through my grieving period, maybe. Wait, your kid's getting a terminal illness might get you discounts on stuff you buy for yourself? Man, I'm gonna shave my kid's head the first chance I get. Sorry, terrible tasteless joke from the narrator aside. My good gracious me, way to shoot down a Karen. She clearly had a lot going on in her life, and no matter how nasty the person, no one deserves to have their child get sick like that or even think that they might. But come on, it's a bit of a leap to expect a 20% discount on everything in life because of that unfortunate event. At least she had the grace to simmer the F down once you one-upped her like that. I'm not sure I've ever heard of someone with that unfortunate a medical history as the author before. If I had things that tough, I'm not sure I could deal with someone like the lady in question, even from the first snap of the fingers. And let's linger on that particular part for a second. As awful as a lot of these people are to serve and work with in general, Is there any greater indicator of just how absolutely terrible a ride you're in for as when they call the service over by clicking their damn digits like that? I'm getting angry just thinking about it. Anyway, you were uniquely placed in that moment to bring her royal crappiness crashing down, and thank you, for all of us, for seizing the opportunity. Although I hope her daughter got better. Karen crashed into my Jeep and expects me to pay her cash for her damages because her children will apparently starve if she pays to fix her car. So some backstory, I own a Jeep. Fully built, lift kit, ADD bumpers, the whole shebang. So one day I'm coming home from work, and it's a sunny day, the roof is off, and I'm having some open-top fun. I stop at a red light and suddenly… bang! I drive forward slightly and go back to assess the damage, and lo and behold, it's a Mercedes C-Class. A new one at that as well. Completely destroyed from the front, and my beautiful Jeep had no damage apart from a few scratches. I went to check on the passenger of the Mercedes. I got them out, and luckily she was unharmed. These mercs are definitely safe. Under a minute after she's out of the car, she starts screaming about how I wrecked her car. I told her calmly that she was the one who rammed into me. I think she understood how my hitting her would be impossible. I offered to share our insurance details because I knew that Mercedes damage doesn't come cheap. But she said she doesn't have insurance. She insisted that I pay her $10K cash, and how she got this number, I don't know. I said that was just plain wrong as, 1, she hit me, and 2, it's her fault for not having insurance. She then went on a ramble about how her kids needed the money and they had no money at the time, and now her kids will have to starve because she'll have to pay to fix her car, and how it will all be my fault when they're on the street tomorrow. Yeah, on the street with a Mercedes, my butt. That's why you should have insurance. But no, she said she'd call the cops if I didn't pay her. I refused as this was just dumb, so then she called the cops. Yeah. Cops came and assessed the damage and asked us what happened. She said, and I quote, "He backed into me at full speed on a red light." My fricking god. Then they asked me what happened and I told them, and it became a he said, she said situation. Luckily, a shopkeeper was there and saw the whole thing and even captured it on a surveillance camera. Needless to say, I came out on top. Cops got her for reckless driving and driving without insurance. She then started yelling at the cops about how they would just let a criminal get away. They explained that I did nothing wrong and they had video evidence now. The partner of the cop came to me and told me if I could drive, I could leave. So I got in my Jeep and left. Never want to have a Karen experience again. Not worth it. In case you were wondering, if you have a lifted Jeep with heavy-duty bumpers, a Mercedes can't do much damage. Okay, update. So Karen read my post. Who knew? I certainly didn't think it would happen. I just received a direct message from Karen in all caps, as you'd expect. She basically said how I already destroyed her car and left her penniless, and her children were starving. I'm so over that bit, by the way. And now she wants me to take down the post because it defaces her. She said, and I quote, "You know this is illegal, right? You have no right to talk like this about me. You already wrecked my car that I have to pay out of pocket now for. If you don't take this down immediately, I'll report you and sue you for attacking me." I explained to her that neither was her real name mentioned, nor did I mention the place where this happened. The only thing mentioned was her car, and now she was being a big jerk. But no, she threatened to sue me for defacing her beautiful reputation. How? So yeah, that happened. I advised her against this, but she said she had my license plate number, and if this post isn't gone by tomorrow, I'll be receiving some papers. I'm not worried at all. She doesn't have a case as I didn't mention her name or any revealing info at all. But if there's anything I missed that can cause me problems, please let me know as I really don't want to take a wrong step. P.S. For all the ones asking, yes, the Jeep Wrangler and I are fine. It was built to take the punishment and so was I. In short, Karen crashed into me, wrecked her car, and had no insurance and wanted me to pay $10K in cash. Cops came and ticketed her and I left. Well, the Karen was already spitting a fury about being on a basically anonymous post on Reddit, and now she's on YouTube. Hi Karen, enjoy! Honestly though, she has no real legal legs to stand on in terms of defacing and defamation, right? Unless her first and last names are actually Karen, in which case I kinda get why she's so angry all the time. I mean, me slandering her and her ilk all the time can't be easy. But back to the case at hand. Not only is she a massive jerk, she's also completely detached from reality. Unless she's right, and whenever someone wrongs us, we can just up and ask for an arbitrary amount of money to fix the damages. You heard it here first, folks. Get out there and start collecting. Don't do that. Also, Karen, if your kids are starving, what are you trawling the internet for stories of yourself and driving an uninsured Mercedes around for? I know from your behavior that you haven't worked a dog-darn day in your life. Maybe it's time to start. Because I'm thinking your current methods of income generation, i.e. made-up legal charges policed, argued, and collected by yourself, don't seem to be working out. I'd wager if you just get up and start telling your stories at an open mic from your perspective, people might think it was the greatest ironic act ever. Give it a try, earn some cash. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, linked below. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Prankster workmate doesn't like it when the joke is on him. Years ago, when I was a youngster just starting to make my way in the adult world, I took a job at a machine shop. Since I was the new guy and a lot younger than the rest of the crew, I had to put up with a lot of practical jokes as a kind of initiation hazing. It was all in good fun, mostly, so I went along with the jokes, knowing that the guys would give it up after a while. I was right, and after a few weeks when the others realized that I was a decent sort and they could rely on me to hold up my end of the work, they eased up on the teasing. All of them, that is, except for one guy. He was the shop jerk and a resident troublemaker. And while most people got along with him, no one really liked him. This fellow was as bald as an egg without a single hair on his head. And because we were such an intellectual group, he was given the nickname Baldy. When the rest of the fellows quit their teasing of me, Baldy redoubled his efforts and his pranks took on a mean-spirited quality. Tools I needed would go missing, or he would accidentally bump the emergency stop on machines I operated, causing me to have to reset and reload the job. It got to the point where his behavior was degrading the quality of my work, and every time I called him on it, he just told me to do something about it, trying to provoke a confrontation. So I did something about it. I figured the best way to deal with this guy was to turn the tables on him, give him a taste of his own medicine, and make him look foolish in front of the other employees. This was an industrial setting, so everyone wore the usual protective gear. Hard hats, gloves, safety glasses, the works. At break time, Baldy was in the habit of putting his gear in his toolbox, topping the pile with his upside-down hard hat. When we broke for lunch, I filed out to the break room with the rest of the crew, then doubled back into the shop through another door. I went straight to Baldy's workstation and filled the bottom of his white hard hat with at least an inch of similarly colored half-and-half coffee creamer. I double-checked that at a casual glance in the hat it wouldn't raise suspicions. Then I rejoined my fellows and had a very nice lunch. Break time over, we all went back to the shop. I hid around a corner, giggling, as Baldy geared up to start work. He picked up his hard hat and plopped it on his head. As he did so, all that half-and-half ran down his safety glasses and over his face in thick, sticky streams of goo, making him look like the guest of honor at a very adult-themed party. He stood there sputtering and cursing at the top of his lungs while the rest of the crew gathered around him laughing and shouting encouragement. Baldy always hated me after that, but never messed with me again. And no one called him Baldy anymore either. He'd always hated that nickname, but I think he would have readily gone back to it if he could, because his new nickname among the crew was Money Shot. Oosh. Well, he had that coming. Honestly, don't dish it out if you can't take it, folks. I'm glad for the author's sake that this didn't escalate afterwards. It seemed like they judged it really well and it actually solved their problem. Money Shot seemed like a real pain in the hole, and in my experience, people love seeing those put in their place. So, a reminder of his place in the social pecking order below even the new guy, while mean, is probably what he needed. Ease up on that behavior, Money Shot, be nicer to your workmates, and eventually you'll move up the line and make friends. Until then, enjoy your nickname. Have fun explaining it to every new hire from then on in. Or maybe embrace it, and take some shots to the face from your colleagues to make some friends. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. Entitled mother decides to mess with a service dog team. A bit of backstory here. I have a service dog named Nova. She's trained to let me know when someone is approaching me from behind, as well as distract me from self-destructive behavior, like picking at my skin and scratching myself when anxious due to my PTSD and other mental health issues. While it's not required in the US, she does wear a vest that states service dog. So we were at Walmart a while back, picking up a few groceries after work. Usually this goes pretty well, as a lot of the workers know Nova and I, and we only do small trips at a time when we don't have someone with us. The Walmart manager has met Nova and I on several occasions and is generally helpful with anything we need to make our experience better. Now that we have our scene, let's go. We first spotted the wild Karen and her spawn down the aisle and didn't think much about it. We were just getting a few things for dinner and for the next couple of days, since I didn't have to work and didn't plan on making an extra trip. Then this conversation occurred. The brat runs up to me and yells, "Mommy, a dog!" staring at Nova intensely. "Yeah, I see." Karen continued shopping and texting on her phone. The brat runs towards Nova and starts petting her. So I said, "Hey, can you please not do that? She's a service dog and she's working." The kid continues petting Nova. I put the dog behind me and say, "Please don't do that." Then comes the voice. "Why can't he pet the dog?" Still not looking away from her phone. She's a service dog, she's working. It could be very dangerous if she gets distracted. The kid starts pushing against me to get to the dog. "Stop that! Go bug your mother." "Just let him pet the dog, he's not hurting anyone." "Lady, control your kid. I said he couldn't pet her and explained why." "Well, if your dog can't be petted, it shouldn't be in public." The brat returns to his mother crying, and I continue deciding which frozen pizza to buy. An employee sees this commotion and comes over to talk to me. "Hey there, is there anything I can help you and Nova find today?" No, we're just picking up a few things for the next couple of days." Nova sat down and stared at the employee. He looks at me and I nod. He then gives Nova a quick pet. "Hi Nova, being a good girl?" We then hear the voice of you-know-who. "Why is he allowed to pet your dog but my son can't?" "He's a dear friend and also he asked permission. Your son did not. Please leave me alone." She went rambling on about how she was going to get the employee fired and call the cops on me for discrimination. The employee says, "Would you like me to page the manager for you?" "No, it's okay. I only have a few more things to get." We continued chatting as we moved down the aisle and into the next before he got back to work. Now I was a few aisles over and I just had to get some peanut butter. I thought we were going to make it without any further problems, until this happened. The brat came running full force at Nova and I from behind. Nova let me know there was someone behind me. I turned around to see the kid running and he grabs Nova's vest and rips it in a few spots before tripping and crying as he hits the floor, screaming for his mother. She emerges around the corner like the angel of death, glaring daggers at me while I check on her kid. "How dare you push my child?" Making a huge scene and begins screaming for help. The Walmart manager finally arrives after being paged by employees as I was waiting. He says to me, "Hi, how are you and Nova? What can I help you with?" Karen screams, "She pushed my son!" The Walmart manager listens to her side of the story about how I refused to let her son pet my dog and pushed him because I don't like kids. And then he explains how that doesn't sound like me before asking her to leave and having the other employee escort her out. He then apologizes and even offered to accompany Nova and I while we finished shopping, and I politely decline. As we're leaving after finishing up the shopping, the entitled mother is seen arguing with police officers because she doesn't want to leave the store. I hope she got what she deserved and pulls her head out of her butt and raises her son to learn some manners and self-control. In short, entitled mother and son are at Walmart and don't respect boundaries. Claim I discriminated against them and pushed the son because I wouldn't let him pet my service dog. The mum says that service dogs are there to be petted or they shouldn't be in public. After they get asked to leave, the mum is seen arguing with the police. Service dogs aren't there for your enjoyment. They're trying to do their jobs. Well, 3 out of 4 of our stories today are not just Karens, but Karens just so clearly detached from reality that every single one of them invented reasons why their wrongdoers should lose money or get arrested. In this case, finding another random customer at Walmart for discrimination, because they won't let your kid pet your dog. What human being has enough time on their hands that it would be worth getting the police involved, even if you weren't just clearly making these charges up? Is she just trying to intimidate people with empty threats? Or does she genuinely believe that these are things that they can enforce on society? And the second part is just so weird to me. The kid relents and then decides to come charging back for a sneak attack? What's going on here? Did she put him up to it? If the other Karens have taught me anything, it's that they don't know when to quit and are completely justified in everything they do, somehow. I hope the store had security footage for when she inevitably tried to come after the lady for supposedly shoving her kid. Then she can get some more collective judgment when everyone watches her little darling sprint up and rip the vest off a service dog. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to check out some great music, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.